Mercer, our current AS president, and Erik Dickson, the executive director of AS. So some exciting stuff over here. They're going to be talking to you about strategies for change, as well as getting some feedback by all of you. So be sure to speak up so they can hear your voices. And without further ado, please welcome our speakers for today.
Good morning, everyone. We'll call it a good day. So we're going to do our own introductions, our full introductions, so you get the full breadth and depth. I thought it was better if I introduced Brandon and he introduced me, otherwise it sounds less vain. So Brandon Mercer, your current AS president, also the 30th president of the Associated Students at Sonoma State University. Let's see, there's a medium amount of applause, just a little something. So Brandon, this guy's like slow clapping Brandon. Yeah! So Brandon is a graduating senior. He has been involved in almost every leadership position known to humankind. We think last year he holds the record for the most leadership positions ever held in 1 year. Last year he was a CSA, a tutor, an orientation leader, an AS executive officer, a jump volunteer, chair of the key advisory committee, and a two-sport NCAA athlete in soccer and golf, all in 1 year. So that's something for you to aspire to eventually. So that's where you eventually need to get. Brandon's graduating in May, just passed his civil service exam, so he just got his first job out of college. He's going to be joining the Department of State on the ambassador staff. Ambassador Rosen, who's the ambassador to, I have to get this right because it's a really long title. She's the ambassador to the Federated States of Micronesia, and Brandon's going to be joining her staff in July. Yes, thank you very much. There you go. First step to being an ambassador. He is children of military parents. He calls San Diego home, but he was born, and I can't pronounce it. It's a town in Luxembourg. That's all I know. I can never. It starts with a D. I can never. Diffenburg. That's what it is. Diffenburg in Luxembourg. So he owns dual citizenship in the United States and Luxembourg. You probably don't know anybody who owns dual citizenship in the United States and Luxembourg. Brandon Mercer, your vice president.
All right, so I have Erik's introduction written down because he has a long career. So Erik Dickson.
That's his way of saying I'm old.
That is. Erik Dickson, the single revered leader of the Association for Pet Obesity Prevention, is happy to be here today to convince you all of his utter greatness. From his early days at Humboldt State University, Erik has been dedicated to student success and prank warfare. Today he serves as the ancient elder of Associated Students, giving his sage advice to all those that find their way into his dark and terrifying office. Never has Erik been more in awe by an AS president than this year, as he is Erik's favorite student of all time.
Wow.
I didn't write this.
That's true.
Although Erik has a long and decorated past, including his 3-year reign as international cornhole champion and co-founding P90X, which he begins each day with.
Clearly.
Erik looks to the future. Erik is currently halfway through planning out his 2020 run at the presidential election. He hopes to be elected on the platform of replacing all public water fountains with Diet Coke fountains, paid for by taxes on public university students. And no cause is more important to him than adhering to a strict interpretation of the Second Amendment as the government encouraging everyone to wear more tank tops.
Nice.
So please help me welcome the grand ruler of all things Seawolf Pride, Chuck Fico, and the Bailey Harrison Fan Club, Erik Dickson.
Whoa, thank you very much. So with the grand theme of change today, we're going to make a change in this room. What do you think it is? Some of you are going to stand up. Well, actually, you're all going to stand up because we want to move the back rows down here. So we'd like to get as many people down here as humanly possible. Trust me, I know. You've never had to do this before, ever. So if you're sitting down here, if you could come to the middle, and if you're sitting back there, come down here. Thank you all very much. Welcome to Strategies for Change. We had everybody do seats. That was pretty much our lesson. So when in doubt, when you want to change something, just make sure everybody switches seats. So let's talk a little bit about change. Here's Brandon and I's plan. We're going to try and get through the required lecture material as quickly as possible, talking about all the theories and the stuff in the chapter that I'm sure you've committed to memory. And then we're going to try and spend the last half of the class just talking about those things that you all as aspiring leaders at Sonoma State University want to change. Brandon's experience as a leader here and AS president, my time here at Sonoma State, talking a little bit about what strategies you might use as some of the things you want to change here at Sonoma State. Does that sound like a good plan? What that requires is for you all to participate, because we do have some audience participation as part of this. So the more you participate, or the faster you participate, the faster we get through the required lecture material. Sound like a good deal? Excellent. I'll take your silence as agreement. So let's talk about change. What is change good for? Why do we have change? What does change actually mean? Yes?
Opening ourselves to new ideas.
Opening ourselves to new ideas. Anybody else? Yes?
Progress.
Progress. This is generally the smart section right here. This is no pressure on YouTube, but right here seems to be our real nexus for where we're going. Okay. Is change good or bad? Yes. It's both? When is change good? What about somebody here? When you improve yourself. What else is change good? When it's ethical. Ooh, somebody's been reading ahead of the chapters. Nicely done. Good job. When is change bad? When it's unethical. Nice way to use her answer. Just throw the un in there and you're solid. That's how I got through high school. Anybody else? When is change bad? Yeah.
You don't improve yourself.
When you don't improve yourself. Nice, well done. Any other answers? Any other kind of change is bad? Yeah. You don't have a reason for it? Okay. Yeah.
It sets you back.
It sets you back? Okay, good. Who or what promotes change? We always talk about change. Everybody's for change, mostly, except for when it doesn't improve ourselves and it's unethical. We know those are bad. But who starts change?
You.
Me?
Everyone.
I'm old. My change years are done. I'm retired from the change game. Who else? Yeah?
The catalyst. The catalyst.
The catalyst. What's a catalyst?
Somebody
Are you a science major?
that like makes the change happen.
Somebody who makes the change happen. Okay, nice. Who else? What else makes change happen? Who else makes change happen? Who?
Problems in society.
Problems of society. What else?
Leaders.
A leader. Thank you very much. Who said leader? Okay, where's your TA? Where's your TA? Okay, TA, that student right there gets an A. He's done. He can go home for the rest of the semester. So, nicely done. Leaders promote change. This is Foundations of Leadership, after all, everybody. So, we're going to talk a little bit about strategies for change. But before we do that, Brandon's going to talk a little bit about what change actually looks like and what you have to invest as a leader to make change. You ready?
Yes, we'll run through. So we're going to run through some images. Obviously, change is new ideas. Change isn't easy. Erik and I see this on a daily basis, trying to change stuff at this university, but we see it at a larger scale across the world. So we're running through some of these images. Obviously, Black Lives Matter. This is huge right now. Understanding this transition in our society to understand or to accept all people and to accept everyone as an equal and not treating others and oppressing others based on society's images. So this next one, education cuts. This affects us. This is directly to the CSU. You can go to the next image. One I really love. This is a march on Sacramento. These are students going to the Capitol about the time of the recession when there was 30% tuition increases on students. And there were budget cuts due to the recession, obviously tax revenue. It took these students to step out of their comfort zone, to tell their legislators, hey, you're harming us. You're harming the future. And these were leaders. These are student leaders across the system of all 460,000 of us. One more. Obviously, another one we see is minimum wage. It just went up, or there was a bill passed in California, so it'll go up over the next few years. But nationwide, obviously this is huge. It's those in those positions voicing their own concerns, their own livelihoods to those that control their pay. We can jump to all the way to the next one.
This is a sit-in at Clemson University. That bottom picture of the sit-in about raising the minimum wage at Clemson University.
And one more. So, Occupy Wall Street, this was a few years ago. It's still somewhat going on here and there. But yet again, highlighting these issues in society that was mentioned. These people standing up for what they see is right being in the 99% or whatever they want to identify as. And understanding that our society isn't going in the direction that we want it to go. So they're willing to stand up to fight to change things. One more point. And then two. So obviously we see these kinds of images in mass media every single day. It's someone being oppressed, it's someone standing up, and then there's resistance. And that's why we talk that change is difficult. It's never going to be brought about easy unless it's not really meaningful. If it's meaningful change, someone's going to be resistant to it. People are scared of change. Obviously, I mean, we've militarized police forces. We see, yet again, minorities being oppressed. Police brutality, it's all these kinds of things that are surrounding around change. And yes, these are extreme examples, but it happens to each and every one of us every single day.
This one, just to back up a slide, that picture that's on the bottom right, that's a CSU student at a fee protest.
So
Anybody know this picture? Davis.
And this is the image that was attempted to be covered up by Davis. Paid an exorbitant amount of money for them to essentially try and wash this from the internet. It's not going to happen. Good try. But obviously, it's putting down those that are trying to fight for change, those that are trying to stand up for a cause. And we consistently see this, obviously those that are trying to stand up, trying to voice their opinions, trying to make things better for someone else, for themselves, for society.
Anybody recognize the picture on the bottom right? Anybody heard the phrase, "Don't tase me, bro"? That's that guy. That's when he said it right there. And the police officer's about to tase them.
And then two more. Yet again, just a couple more images. These not specifically to the CSU or the UC, but yet again, people trying to stand up. Obviously, you see police whistleblower fired. Someone trying to stand up for what they see as ethical, something that's right, and they're fired over it. Now we have laws, obviously, to protect some of these people, but at the same time, it's extremely difficult for them to even have the courage to stand up to make this change. Eric, I'm not familiar with this one. You want to talk about
This actually just happened last week. Students at Ohio State University were sitting in their administrative building trying to fight against injustices they saw for a variety of issues with students. And the president of the university essentially said, if you don't leave, we're going to expel you. So they were trying to make positive change, but at some point they were put to a test of, do they want the change? Because the cost was going to be expulsion. So this has just happened the 15th. So that's when all this went down. So it's that question of, you want change, it's ethical, it's important, it betters us, it betters our fellow students. But at some point as a leader, what cost are you willing to put in to promote the change? Because it's one of the things to know about change. It's great in theory, but at some point all those images are about sometimes there's a cost to change. You got to put a lot of effort into it. It may cost you personally to make the change that you want to see happen.
Hold on this slide.
Sure.
So obviously we've gone through some images. What are your thoughts on some of these images? These are pretty sombering things to see. What's that first instinct that you feel seeing some of these things? Damn the man. Who else?
Frustration.
About what?
How ridiculous, like, how everything works.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, the first thing that came to your mind is frustration.
It's also like scary seeing that some of these things are happening like now, like in our generation, that it could happen to us.
Absolutely.
Like, we're oppressing the new breakthrough ideas of people, and we don't want to change it. Like, we're using police forces to like oppress the new ideas that could change the world.
Can I jump to the next slide?
Yeah, just one little thing too. Remember, I encourage you to pull up this video, just listen to the first minute of it when you get a chance. The reason the students were getting kicked out was because they were creating an quote-unquote unsafe work environment, not for other students, not for classes, not for academics, but for the people working in the building. So it's again, where are our priorities? Where are our frustrations? But these students were willing to risk expulsion for change. So where are those new ideas come from? So, and are you going to be that person?
So now, being a change agent, as it talks about in the chapter, different criteria for this. And I'm actually going to use one of my orientation students from my very first year. If any of you are in the business ACE, she might be your peer mentor. I'm going to talk about Eliza Kaufman. She's a huge inspiration to me and what she's done here at Sonoma State. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example on each one of these and why I see Eliza as an agent of change. So commit to a better way, obviously pretty self-explanatory. We've talked about it. Trying to change things for the better, trying to make things better not only for yourself but for society as well. Obviously, Eliza, being a student leader, she wants to be engaged. She wants to work for the betterment of students. And at this university that has welcomed her in, and she calls home now. Courage to challenge the existing power base. So Eliza knows what the difficulties are coming to college. She understands what barriers certain students are going through, and she wants to make sure those students are supported, that they have a peer mentor to go to talk to. I see Sabrina in here, a big to talk to, someone to connect with that you feel at home with. Personal initiative to go beyond boundaries. Eliza didn't have to do it. She could have sat in her dorm room, she could have sat back and just said, you know what, there's students out there, they're having a tough time, but that's their problem, I don't want to deal with it. But instead, she took it on herself to get engaged, become a peer mentor, become a summer orientation leader, become a summer orientation team leader, and really get out there talking to students. Motivation, I mean, Eliza motivates me every single day. I also know that Tyler's in here right now, and Tyler's one of Eliza's orientation students. Now he's following that path, trying to get involved in student leadership, trying to help his fellow students. And so, I mean, it's not just about getting yourself up and out, it's about getting everyone around you as well. Caring. If any of you have met Eliza, she'll do anything for you before she does anything for herself. And if any of you know her, please tell her that I talked to you about her because she'll get really embarrassed. It's great. So staying undercover, you're never going to see Eliza jumping up and down trying to look for recognition. And leaders don't do that. Leaders are in it for the cause. They're not in it for the recognition. If I was up here saying, hey, look at me, I'm the AS president, just for the title, that's not doing anything for the students. It's way better to actually get into those meetings you don't hear about, and try and make change for you all. Stuff that no one knows about besides those of us in the office. And then sense of humor. I'm actually going to relate this back to that guy right over there on the other side of the stage. If you come into the AS office and someone has a frown on their face, Erik is like seeking them out to try and make them laugh. It's like the goofy uncle that comes into the office and like teases people, gives everyone a hard time, just to like keep the mood light, and that's what we like to have in the AS office.
So I'm going to jump in a little bit here and talk a little about some of the conditions needed to create change. Before I do that, let me jump back. How many of you people know a student here who you would consider a change agent based on that definition? How many of you know a student here at Sonoma State who you would define as a change agent? Who? Brandon Claire Holmes. Why?
He was my summer season, that's how I met him.
Okay, good.
And he works in the AS office.
He does.
And he's constantly talking about things that he wants to see change for the better students. And like he helps out, so like, he's my best friend. He's
Really?
one of
Good
those,
for you.
like,
Congratulations.
that I know.
I mean, if you can choose a best friend, Brandon Claire Holmes is a pretty good choice. So that's a pretty good start. So nice. Who else do you know is a change agent? Yeah.
Christina Gamboa.
Okay. Tell me about Christina.
She was my summer O leader, and she's now moved on to be a summer O team leader.
Nice.
And she's been someone that's like pushed me and helped me and like on my own leadership journey here already in the past year, and encouraged me to get involved. She said like I see what the potential you have and you need to apply it.
Good. Nice. Anybody else? One more. Anybody? Yeah. Mitchell Sherman. Tell us about Mitchell. President of your fraternity? Okay. A lot of times when we talk about change agents, we talk about these people who inspire us and motivate us, and they're these bigger than life student leaders who can never hope, to ever achieve the list of accomplishments that they have. But remember, those are advocates. Those are people who are on the front lines and are doing it and have been here for a while. But also remember, you can be an ally. You can be somebody who's supporting that change agent. That's where a lot of leaders start, is they support as an ally. They're not necessarily on the front lines. They're not necessarily out there talking to thousands of people. But there are allies who support, who get connected to a cause, who get connected to a change. So don't feel like you have to be these students who you idolize and you see like, I don't even know how they have time to do this, more or less time, energy, effort. It's okay to be an ally. It's okay to get started supporting someone who's working, supporting an advocate. You'd be amazed how quickly, for all three of the students you just mentioned, that they started as an ally and eventually now you see them as that huge advocate. So change is a lot of things. We talked about the people, you all being change agents, but there also has to be an environment for change. There has to be a way that change is going to set up. A lot of the pictures that you saw where people were being arrested or maced or those sorts of things is because what the people wanted and what the environment wanted were two very different things. So one of the things to realize is you can't just want change. There has to be an environment for change. Your book talks about a process called the 7 C's. The 7 C's is a leadership theory called the social change model, very much connected to your relational leadership model that you all use. But I'm going to talk about the conditions that are required to create positive change. And I'm going to, again, this is that required lecture material I was talking about, so we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible, but I want to see that you're engaged when we're talking a little bit. So part of the environment is the individual. So Brandon talked about this a little bit, so I'll blaze through this pretty quick. Consciousness of self. You have to know who you are. If you're just wandering around the earth, like, I don't even know what I'm about, or I don't know what my skills are, or I don't know what I'm good at, or I don't know what I'm bad at, or frankly, I don't know anything, probably not going to be the greatest advocate for change. When you get into a tough situation and you're put to one of those tests of, do I really want this? Am I willing to give something up? If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you're willing to put into the contribution, if you don't know how you can contribute to a movement, you're not going to really help out a lot. So as an individual, you really need to have some consciousness of self, understanding yourself. Congruence. Congruence is one of those really cool words that like teachers really like to use, and I use with my student advisees every once in a while, just to make sure they're paying attention. Congruence is consistency. It's making sure, I don't know, consistency starts with a C, I don't know why they didn't use consistency instead of congruence, but they did. It's basically making sure that your values, those things that you believe in, are consistent with the change that you want to have happen. If you're talking about, oh, I'm all for lower fees, and you're like, yeah, but I'll pay more, I don't really care. There's not a consistency there, so you really have to be paying attention. Also remember that if I see you sleeping while I'm talking, I will throw something at your head. So I'm not a very good aimer, but it could happen. So just be attention. I am prone to throw things. The last one is a personal commitment. This to me is the most important piece. You've got to be committed to what you want. How many of you worked with somebody, been on a team with somebody, been in a small group in a class with somebody, and that person's commitment is about this? They're nothing. They are the biggest drag on that group. They are the biggest drag on that team. They are the biggest drag on everything. Brandon's smiling over there. It happens in every leadership capacity. It happens in every small group you will ever be in class. There's that one person you're like, oh, I wish I could give a grade to this person instead of having the professor do it. I wish I could do it. It's that commitment. And think about if you're fighting for really big change and there's lots of resistance. And when things get hard and people's commitment level really low, what are they going to do? They're going to bolt. Okay, like you're committed to being on time, teachers. Sorry, Jermaine, I'm just gonna, gotta be even-handed. All right. So besides individuals, then the group that you're working with has to have some conditions that will make change happen. Collaboration. What does collaboration mean? Don't read the directions that are on the board. Give me an everyday student answer of what collaboration is. Working together. What's the difference between compromise, which is working together, and collaboration? What's the difference? Yeah.
Equal effort.
Equal effort. Anybody else? Yeah.
Collaboration is because you want to.
Collaboration is because you want to. Anybody else? Want any other addition? Yeah.
Collaboration is combining ideas and compromise.
Yeah. Exactly. Collaboration is all of those things. You want to be there, you're committed to what you're doing, and you really want to see everybody's ideas part of the solution. Not, I can get as many of my ideas in the solution, and if I have to take a couple other people's, then I guess that's okay. You really want to hear what everybody has to say. It's a really important, why don't we go backwards? Okay, click at me. You really want to see everybody contribute to the common goal. Common purpose, this is kind of self-explanatory, but you'd be surprised how many groups, how many movements die out because they all have a different idea. They're all in one room, but then when push comes to shove, they all want something different out of the equation. So really taking time to find a common purpose. Find a shared vision. How many of you have a leadership position already identified for next year? Raise your hands. At some point you're going to have an advisor, you're going to have a mentor, you're going to have somebody, and they're going to bring this up. You're going to hear the word shared vision 10 times more than you want to. Because they're going to recognize that before you can start working together as part of this team, you've got to have a shared vision. Otherwise, you're just going off in 50 different directions. And the last one is controversy with civility. How many of you like conflict? Who loves conflict? I know you love conflict. Argue all the time. You love conflict? Why?
Because through conflict change happens.
Through conflict change. Here you go. You're up. You can teach from here on out. I don't even need to be here. Conflict is good. Conflict has its place. But that controversy has to be done with civility. If the point is to win and crush the other person inside your group, how good is that group going to be? How useful is that other person going to be when push comes to shove? You've got to be okay having conflict and having controversy, but it has to be done in that civil. Somebody used ethical earlier. It has to be done in an ethical way, because we want that person to feel as part of the contributing part of the group. Okay? So we've talked about individuals, right? We've talked about groups. What's the last one? Conditions for change. Individuals, groups, and bonus points. That guy over there's got an A already. He's not even paying attention anymore because he knows he's passed the class. It's one of the things. The last one is community or citizenship. It's the whole group. It's the whole everybody. There's got to be a commitment to citizenship. There's got to be a commitment to that thing that we as citizens, as a community, are committed to change. We respect groups' right to change. That's the important part for the entire community, is that commitment to citizenship. That's where everybody talks about the American ideal, and they talk about democracy, and they talk about constitutional republics, or all those sorts of things. Is that at its core, there's a commitment to citizenship. One of the most important parts of citizenship is service, which is what a lot of change is about. It's about doing service for others. How many of you volunteer? How many of you do a philanthropy for your fraternity, sorority, community organization? Is that citizenship? Yes or no? Yes. Why? You're working for the betterment of the community. You almost pulled it right out of the text of the thing. Nicely done. It is. One of the things we want to talk about, though, is more than just volunteering. It's really committing and being an active citizen. The Associate Students, as part of its organization, has this concept at the very core of our organization. Everything we do is based on a simple four-step process called the active citizen continuum, which I'm out of order, which is there. That's our core model, is creating active citizens. So when we talk about volunteering, we talk about volunteering as being a member of a community. You're not an active citizen just because you volunteer. You're not an active citizen just because you show up. Maybe you're a participant. But at some point, being an active citizen means taking on a leadership position. It means mentoring other people. It means becoming informed on an issue. Just showing up and volunteering is a start. But at some point, to promote that citizenship, you've got to move forward in the process. It's not just about showing up. And look where you all are. You're in a class talking about leadership. How many of you raised your hands when we talked about taking on a leadership role? It's about that process. So you're moving through this process at Sonoma State University. It's an important key to keep moving through the process. A lot of times people will think, oh, I'm volunteering, so that's enough. It's a start. For the community to move forward, as citizenry to move forward, you've got to keep moving forward. You've got to take on those positions. You've got to bring other people along. Does that all make sense? So those are those 7 C's. Citizenship, congruence, I'm not going to go through them all. You've seen them all. Those are the things that are part of the process. So I'm going to jump back a slide here. Sorry for the vortex. I just love to play with PowerPoint. So part of the thing to remember is you've got to build coalitions. The reason we build coalitions is to build power. One person by themselves is nowhere near as strong as 10. 10 people together is nowhere as strong as 100, and 100 is nowhere as strong as 1,000. You've got to build coalitions. So we're going to do a quick exercise in here. These are the 4 types of coalitions. Short-term group, something that's going to have a finite timeline with a really specific goal, and you can read the rest. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the group in half, somewhere around here, and somewhere maybe that third to last row. So this is a quadrant here, this is a quadrant here, this is a quadrant back there, this is a quadrant back there. So this quadrant right here, your short-term group with a specific goal, okay? This group over here, short-term group with a general goal. Back there, long-term group with a specific goal. And over here, long-term group with a general goal. So meet with 2 or 3 people who are close to you and come up with an example of your quadrant, whatever your quadrant is, okay? Whoever's close to you, come up with an example. thought he saw somebody in a sweatshirt from another campus. Does anybody see that person? I mean, you should have all heard from me. Is that true? Is there somebody with a sweatshirt from another campus? No? Sometimes it's a high school, we can't tell the difference. I can't see it, and I usually look really hard, so those of you all know the rule, right? You're at Sonoma State students, you wear Sonoma State gear. If I see you on campus with a shirt from another campus, I will call you out in front of everybody. It will be embarrassing for you, and it'll work out really poorly for you. So I know, Brandon loves it when I do it. Okay. Is somebody raising their hand to volunteer that they have a shirt from another campus? No? You're out of it? That's a Sonoma one. That's Arrow back there. So it's not Sonoma. Okay. Over here, short-term group with a specific goal. Who's got an example? Yes?
Planning a concert that everyone's going to have a good time at.
Planning a concert that everybody's going to have a good time at. Yes. Excellent example. Anybody else? Yeah.
We're organizing Kim Kardashian's walk-in closet.
Organizing Kim Kardashian's walk-in closet. I don't know if that's an example of change.
It's a short-term goal.
It is a short-term goal, but remember our theme for the day is change. I mean, I guess maybe...
For this section, it was
Maybe you're moving Kim's stuff from one house to the other house. I don't know. Okay. Anybody have another example of short-term? Yes? Getting into college. Nice. Good job. Okay. How about short-term group with a general goal? Where's our short-term group with a general goal? Over here. Who's got an example? Yes? Who's got an example? Short-term group with a general goal. I think this is this quadrant down here. That was you? No, you guys were a specific goal. Alright, well, all those answers were bad then. Okay, so short term is a general goal. Getting into college is not a general goal, that's a very specific goal. Like, I want to get into college or arrange Kim Kardashian's closet. So both equal, I guess, in their own way. Who has short-term group with a general goal? Which quadrant are you? You guys are generally confused. Okay, who talked about short-term group with a general goal? Anybody have an example? Okay, who's got it? Give me one. I don't know that planning a concert is a very specific goal. Like, I want to plan a concert. What's the difference? Maybe we need to go back to the goal setting lecture. Maybe we need, that was like 8 weeks ago, we probably missed that one. Yeah?
Volunteering to pick up trash.
Volunteering to pick up trash. Okay, so doing just being a volunteer. Good. Very nice. Anybody else? No? What about long-term group with a specific goal? A long-term group with a specific goal. Randy, what did you do up there? Why did you do that? Huh? Long-term group with a specific goal. Yes? Sports team trying to win a title. Nice, good. Anybody else have an example? Long-term group with a specific goal. Anybody? Yeah. Student in a class trying to become better leaders. Nice, good. How about the last one? Long-term group with a general goal. Anybody? Yeah. Nice. Good. Anybody else? Supreme Court. Now that's a cool change group. It's a little old and they smell funny. But besides that, that's a cool group. So remember that building coalitions and bringing groups together is really important. Based on some of those examples, what are some of the tensions you think are going to happen in some of those examples? What do you think some of the tensions are that happen in the Supreme Court? Say what? They don't all agree. So what do you do about that?
Usually, like, if the majority has, like, there's more saying no than no.
Exactly. So they have a vote. I think the Supreme Court should just do a full-on brawl. I think they should just be televised. We could solve all of our tax problems in the United States. Supreme Court had everything. It just was a full-on brawl. Just a big old wrestling match.
Ginsburg falls asleep at the stadium.
I'm just saying, I would pay the pay-per-view to watch that. So, what about the concert example? Putting on a concert. What are the tensions that are going to arise out of putting on a concert?
Different sponsors.
Different sponsors.
Who gets to be.
Okay. What else? Different types of music. Nice. Ticket prices. All of these little simple things, we think of a simple goal, and then all of a sudden tensions arise. So even movement that everybody can agree on, tensions happen. So think a little bit about that as you go to building your coalitions. You've got to protect that coalition. You have to bring it together. You have to keep it as a group. So this is us wrapping up a little bit. We've gone through the basic lecture material. We wanted to spend our last 5 or so minutes hearing from you all. You've been in the leadership class now for 3 months. Most of you have got some sort of leadership position identified. What are those changes at SSU that you want to talk about? We're gonna talk as a group and kind of come up with some strategies. What are some of those changes at Sonoma State you want to see happen? Brandon's taking notes. Yeah.
More school pride.
More school pride. Okay, so more school pride is our change. What are some strategies? What do we need to do at Sonoma State to make that happen? Yeah. One more time. I got soccer match. What was the beginning? Tailgates for soccer matches. Cool. Okay. What else do we need for school spirit? Yes. A football game. Brandon and I were betting in the back how long it would take football to come up. How many people in this room, let's use football as an example for change, because it's my favorite example. I know Brandon's heard the speech once or twice. How many in here think having an NCAA Division I football team at Sonoma State University is a good change? Positive. A lot of people. How many people think it is a horrible idea? Okay, using the Supreme Court, we're going to say that this group likes the idea of a Division I football team. How do we do it? What's our strategy for change? What do we need to do to get a Division I football team at Sonoma State University? Yes, with their hand up. You need money, and then you need an equal amount of women's sports. That's what I heard, yes? Okay. So those are two things we need. How much money do we need? A lot. I literally have a penny in my pocket. How much money? Give me a number. What do you think? $5 million. Anybody else have a different number? 25. How much? 2 million. 25. I think he can find $25 million just rearranging Kim Kardashian's closet. So, okay. Anybody know the average budget for an NCAA Division I football team? It's about $55 million, give or take. That's for a middle. So we know how much money we need. Is everybody committed to the change? Yes? Close enough. Oh, now $50 million, you're not committed. How many people at $50 million think football's a good idea? A lot less hands. So is football a reasonable answer to the spirit?
Yes.
Is it? At $50 million? Excellent. How much are you willing to pay for that change? No. Somebody was emphatically yes. What's your answer?
Well, we spend a lot of money on other things, so if we don't want those things, our money should go towards something that we want.
True. Okay. So $50 million, how much would you be willing to pay? $500? 500. 500? No. Less? Say what? Who's gonna play? There are more women on campus. That's true. We haven't got to that problem yet. We're gonna get there in a second. Yeah. Fundraising. Yes. Because everybody's heard of the Grand Sonoma State football tradition. One of the things to remember about change is you got to figure out what the change is and what it's going to cost and who's willing to pay it. Do you know what the student fee would have to be at Sonoma State University for you to be able to afford a football team? Anybody want to take a guess? He knows. How much? 20,000 per student? Not quite that much. You're in the right neighborhood though. It's simple math. Take $50 million for the football team. Take $50 million to build the stadium. Merge that together into $100 million. Okay? Simple math. Divide 100 million by the 10,000 students we have. What's that number? You guys all have, somebody has an iPhone on. Divide 100 million by 10,000. Or take off from zero. You should be able to do it in your head. Anybody? 100 million divided by 10,000. Okay, this is a really sad statement on Sonoma State University. It is a university. 100 million divided by 10,000. How much? 10,000. Now, you get to pay fees twice each year, so really it's only a $5,000 fee. And that's per year, per semester. Is that worth it? Some people say yes. No, you need that $50 million year one. And every year, yep. What's an average NCAA football coach make a year? Right. So you've got to have $50 million to build that. So one of the things to remember about change, listen up everybody, this is why this debate always gets interesting about change. We want more school spirit, we're all about school spirit, but quickly we go to a place about football. Is football the only answer for that change? No. It's a big part. What's the most spirited school in the university? Anybody know? Anybody know? Nobody can answer the question. One of the things when you start answering, remember the 7 C's? What your commitment is, your congruence, all those sorts of things, consciousness of self, understanding what you know and what you don't. If you're going to strive out for change, and I'm not saying football's a bad idea. I went to a campus that had a football team. My graduate school had a football team. The last campus I worked at had a football team. There's a lot of great things about having a football team. But what does it cost you at Sonoma State University? What are you willing to put into the game? What are the things you need to know to be able to answer the question? You are leaders now. Like it, love it, or lump it, you've taken on a leadership class, taken on a leadership role. You have some responsibility for ethical change, promoting ethical ideas and change that betters ourselves and our community. I'm not saying football's a bad idea, but before you walk out there and say, we need a football team, know the answers, know the hurdles. Talk to your community about what they're willing to invest. Another good question we didn't even get to it is who's going to play the game? How many more teams do we need to meet the NCAA requirements and Title IX requirements? Know the information. Wanting something and wanting change is one thing. Knowing what it costs and knowing how to get there is your first step. Understanding what you know and what you don't. And then what your group wants. Because again, you've got to have that commitment from your group. Okay? What other change? Let's see if we can get something specific that we want to change here at Sonoma State University.
Update the technology.
Update the technology in the lecture halls. That's not bad. But give me something specific.
The Wi-Fi connection.
Wi-Fi connections.
Projector.
Okay, good.
I find that often the projectors going in and out and updating something.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's also the clear slow connections when like the videos are loading or something. Kind of like the platform stuff.
Did everybody hear that in the back? Update the technology in the classrooms, the Wi-Fi, the video projectors, all those sorts of things. What are some strategies? What do we need to do? What are some of our strategies we need to come up with to make that change happen? Yeah?
Convince the administration that it's actually worth it.
Convince the administration that it's actually worth it. Good. Yeah? Change money where money's allocated to. Okay, good. Nice.
Take a total of how many projectors and stuff you would need, like it would need to be updated in here.
Right. So actually figure out what it is we need to fix. Which ones are working, which ones aren't. Come up with a definition of if it's fluttering in and out, or you have to change the channel manually on the projector, then that's probably outdated technology. Okay. What else? Yeah.
Get like a big list of all the changes, possible changes, and put up like surveys to the students what they want most.
So start talking to students about what they want, seeing what their priorities are. Talk to your community.
Right.
Nice. Good.
Contact IT and see if the idea is actually feasible.
Talk to see what your. One of the things I would change that just a little bit, because when you ask somebody if something's feasible, who's in control of the conversation? They are. Talk to them if it's possible. Like if it's we have to invent technology to make this happen. So remember, keep control of the conversation in your house. Don't want it be there. Any other strategies that need to happen to fix the IT on campus? Yeah. Protest. Why? Strong, good. Okay. Maybe if some of these things don't happen, maybe that's where students let people know that it's important. Something doesn't happen. How hard are all these strategies? Are these all doable? Yeah? Why don't we do them? It's that commitment, right? That commitment is there. Is it worth the time and effort? We were showing pictures of people getting maced. We were showing pictures of people getting arrested. But at some point, those are really grand scheme. At some point, the cost we have to do is time and effort. odds are you're probably not going to get thrown in jail for protesting projectors at Sonoma State University. I mean, there is a really strong IT lobby group here at Sonoma State University. They're very militant. They love their outdated technology. But odds are you're not going to get arrested. But the impediment isn't police officers. The impediment is you. It's your commitment. It's your time. It's your effort. It's your willingness to talk to each other. It's your willingness to coalesce as a group and come together about something that's important. To put down whatever the distraction is and come together as a group. Yeah?
Get teachers updated on Moodle.
Get teachers updated on Moodle? Nice. All that's possible. The one impediment to all of that change, and Brandon knows this as well as anybody as the AS president, is getting students to come together with time, effort, and energy. As you all go out there and leaders, as we're wrapping up, because I know we're at time, as you're wrapping up, remember that change is possible, but it requires some conditions to exist, but most importantly, it requires you to take on that list that Brandon put out there to be a change agent. You've got to put some of your own person into that change. You have to be committed. You have to be willing to move forward. You have to be willing to give something up. We're not suggesting giving something up like your freedom or getting expelled, but some students are making that choice. Brandon's all about getting other people expelled. He's like, yes! But remember, you have to put that time and effort in. Change isn't going to happen just because you want it. Change is going to happen because you put the time, effort, and you built a coalition with other students. Thank you all for your time.